So the super moon, full moon was definitely felt quite intensely, I think. I heard from just from various sources and different people that yesterday might have been kind of hard. Yesterday might have been energetically heavy or dense. Just maybe people feeling kind of off or just not really feeling great physically either. So I'm not sure if you experienced any of that yesterday during the full moon. Sometimes, we can feel that energy almost kind of brewing or building. And then when the moon goes exact, when it's right at its fullness, or just, kind of peaks and then the energy starts to just kind of let off a little bit. Sometimes we feel a bit of a break, it's like whatever was wrong is starting to kind of like balance out again. So it is quite interesting how we are so strongly affected by, a large rock in space, right? So this full moon that we had was really helping us identify and kind of dig in deeply, like into our kind of our subconscious and into maybe those kind of like slightly hidden kind of repressed areas too, of really trying to unearth and bring to light things that we might need to clear, things that we might need to let go of. And of course, speaking of those kind of heavy, dense energies that people may have been feeling yesterday, when we're releasing something, letting go of something that we need to let go of, right? And that energy is going to be dense. Usually we're not like, oh, I need to let go of the feeling of joy and peace, right? Which are kind of like expansive, light, effervescent energies. So the things that we are letting go of is stuff that has kind of a heavy energetic weight to it, so that's one of the reasons why that heaviness might have been felt so much yesterday. And with the full moon really helping to shed light on maybe what we need to let go of, what we're needing to release. And these could be unhealthy habits, these could be thought patterns, these could be relationships or dynamics. It could be just like stuff, physical stuff that you've kind of overwhelmed yourself with, that's just kind of accumulated and then it's just bogging you down. But whatever it is, or whatever things those are that you were really focusing on letting go of, that full moon made it really, really apparent and pretty clear, right? So if you can continue to allow yourself to work through the different layers of what that is to let go of things, usually, sometimes this is different, but a lot of times when you let go of something, and this is something that has been like stuffed, or you've just kind of been like holding onto it and dragging it around forever, whatever it is, we might clear and release like a big layer of that. We brought it into our awareness and now we're saying, okay, I'm letting this go. But then there are probably other layers, like an onion, right, that are attached to that are connected to that are going to continue to kind of come up into our awareness, especially since we like took off that big first layer, that we're going to want to continue to kind of release and let go of. And since after the moon is full, the energy starts to wane, the energy and the size of the moon, it goes from fullness and it starts to shrink down a little bit. And so we have the energy that's starting to flow and leave and go away. So use those energies, right? Use those energies to continue to kind of clear and like wash over you, wash through you, and kind of just release any of the sediment, the last lingering kind of remnants of what you are letting go of. And, some of you may be like, hey, I don't need to get rid of anything. My life is great, or whatever it is. And that's fine. But I know for most people, we have things that are holding us back. And a lot of times that's like ourselves. A lot of times we get in our own way with having like negative thought patterns or having an attachment to things that are so familiar and maybe comfortable, and we're used to those things taking up space, but it doesn't necessarily mean that those things are good for us, right? Or that it's like healthy. And this could even be like in your diet, you know, or your eating habits, or like what you're consuming, social media, you know, all of these things, right? So we get like unhealthily attached to those things because it might be like a burden, but it's comfortable. It's what we've known. It's what we've gotten used to. It's what we've acclimated to. So sometimes, you know, when we let go and release, there is a time of almost like panic. Like, what am I going to do? You know, I feel so exposed, or I feel so different, you know, because I've let go and made room. And that's normal, right? That's normal. And it's normal to also like grieve what you are leaving to the past, you know, that you are walking away from. So let yourself just feel wherever you're at, however you're at, as you are processing, you know, these things. So as we know, Venus is in retrograde. She has been retrograde since the 22nd of July. And she is going to be retrograde the entire month of August and through the first few days of September. And so Venus retrograde, as we've talked about before, it's not necessarily like a, you know, spelling doom and gloom for all of our relationships and our finances, even though that's what Venus governs. That's what Venus really, you know, is kind of like really heavily influences. But it is, again, a wonderful time for review and for going, you know, letting go of what isn't serving you, what isn't working, stuff that you've outgrown, and saying, what does work for me now? You know, who am I now? And where is my energy now? And where do I kind of want to aim towards as well? And so any retrograde, and we'll talk about Mercury retrograde in a minute, but Venus retrograde really is truly about our relationship with ourselves, our relationship with love and receiving and giving. And when we work on kind of becoming more keenly aware of and reminding ourselves of really what's important to us in those realms, then we tend to resonate and we vibrate at that, you know, at that energy. And then what shows up in our reality, what shows up in our sphere of existence, of you know, reality, are the things that align with what we're putting out, right? So you could look at Venus retrograde as a time of like, I was going to say calamity, but it's not really calamity, but, you know, where certain things may fall apart, may end, you know, and I'm not saying that that's not significant or that that's not important or scary or sad or anything like that. But you know that it's really helping you align with your higher good, with this highest timeline that you're really wanting to be on, that you're really wanting to experience life through. So see it as a helpful energy that's helping you let go and release. It's like sitting next to a swiftly moving stream or next to a river and just like laying down, you know, what's old, what's not working, and just letting it drift off. You know, let those energies carry it on downstream. So it is a wonderful time to also, you know, if you're in a relationship, with your friendships, with your relationship with yourself, your sense of beauty, your sense of self-image, all of those things, like your house, your environment. It's a wonderful time to just kind of open up with those conversations too, you know, with yourself or with others, of what is really working, like what's great, what you want to keep, you know, and then what might need to shift or change. And it doesn't always have to be like, you know, hack slash, you know, get rid of and just ending, but it definitely at least can be a metamorphosis for you and obviously the other people that you're in relationships with, because Venus retrograde isn't just affecting you, right? It's not just affecting me, it's affecting everybody right now. So we're all experiencing this in different ways and in different aspects of our life. So do you all have any commentary or any questions about either the full moon or about Venus retrograde? I'm, of course, happy to try to answer any questions or help you problem solve if you have any questions for those of you that are on the live. So I'll give you just a second to comment, ask questions, and then we will move forward to some of the other energies that are coming in further on down the pipeline. So any questions, any comments before I move on? And of course, if you're watching a replay of this video, or maybe watching on YouTube and you want to leave a comment with a question, I will definitely try to catch that, and I will try to respond. Robert says, how does the upcoming full moon affect you? So we just had the full moon. The full moon was yesterday, and then we will have a new moon in 2 weeks or so. You know, they're about 14 days apart, since the lunar cycle is about 28, 29 days. So I'm not sure exactly what you're asking, Robert, as far as how does the upcoming full moon affect you. It affects all of us in different ways, but we did talk about the full moon and kind of what the energies were, kind of at the beginning of the video. So if you want to kind of rewind or watch that, we covered that already, unless you have a specific question like regarding you, which I'm happy to try to address. All right. So Melissa says, what are major crystals that will help with this transition into the Venus retrograde? So Melissa, I really think that working with crystals that really help soothe your heart chakra are going to be very helpful. I mean, we all know about rose quartz, but there's also kunzite, which is a lovely kind of light pastel pink stone. It's very strong heart chakra vibration. We have emerald, even like green aventurine, malachite, things like that, you know, green or pink that really resonate with the heart chakra, and that are also going to be resonating. I have like a cat hair on my face, sorry. I was petting the cats before I started. That are going to resonate with those Venus energies. And copper is a metal that is a Venus metal, and malachite is really, really dark green because of its copper content. So I'm really feeling malachite is really good, and maybe that's an intuitive pull saying, get some malachite, get out your malachite, you know. And we might want to get another kind of a stone that's like grounding, that really helps us feel anchored in our truth, anchored and supported by the planet, kind of safe in our body and ourselves and our space as we kind of, you know, go through this transition of releasing as well. So you might look at grounding stones, you know, like jasper. Any of the jaspers, you could do like a Shiva Lingam, which is really great for kind of rooting and grounding that root chakra. But also, I am just such a big fan of obsidian too, and that was one of the stones that I used in our crystal grid that we did for the full moon, and feel it's still very appropriate for Venus retrograde. Snowflake obsidian is nice, or rainbow obsidian. Because obsidian is this kind of alchemy of fire and earth. It's from a volcano. It's a volcanic glass, a natural volcanic glass. And so if you kind of think of this transformation energy almost like a phoenix, you know, rising from the ashes, yet still having that kind of supported energy and kind of like feeding you from the belly of the earth and helping you connect to that, obsidian is really nice. So obsidian would be another helpful one. And then, of course, if you're kind of really having a hard time like articulating how you feel, you're having a hard time maybe communicating, or that kind of being in the flow, you feel like you're, you know, kind of stuck here, any stones like maybe lapis lazuli or sodalite or amazonite would be really nice, to kind of help ease along that communication, help support that throat chakra and communication, and also being heard too. You know, sometimes we're like, I'm saying what I need to say, and I think I'm being really clear, I'm trying, but it's not being received on the other end, right? Not only using those blue throat chakra stones for you, for yourself, but also kind of for your environment so that you might be more easily heard, if that makes sense. And so to get back to Robert's question, he said, okay, so it's a new moon. So just to clarify too, it doesn't immediately switch over to the new moon, so the moon was full yesterday, and then it is going to slowly wane in energy, until the next 2 weeks. Until then, it is new. So we have a flowing out energy right now, and then we will have the new moon energy. I think it's on the 16th. Let's see, where are we? I think it's the 16th. So anyway, if you are wanting, Robert says he's interested in coming to the new moon circles that we have, or wanting to celebrate the new moon in our community space. Basically, all you have to do to prepare for that is just to set your intention that you're going to go, and just kind of have an open mind, but also kind of a receptive energy. Our moon circles, which we had our full moon circle on Sunday, we will be actually having Okay, so we just had the moon circle on Sunday, which the full moon was actually on Tuesday. It was yesterday. And then we have a new moon coming up, and then we have another full moon circle coming up at the end of the month, which is like a blue moon, because there are officially 2 full moons in the month of August. That's what blue moon means, one of the meanings of blue moon. So anyway, if you want to come to, any of our circles, classes, anything like that, of course, register on our website so I know you're coming. That would be great, so I can plan. And then, of course, just kind of come with an open mind, open heart, and just be receptive to why you felt pulled to come. You don't have to dress a certain way. You don't have to really act a certain way. It's definitely kind of a more introspective, meditative circle. It's not a big party by any means. But if you're feeling, pulled to come, definitely come. We would love to have you. Melissa says, do we have lapis? Yes, we do. We have some beautiful lapis pieces in the shop. The shop will actually be open next week for our August shopping bazaar, which does start on August 8th, Tuesday, and it is 11 to 6 every day. Tuesday through Saturday. So you can come and pick out your own special stones that are going to help really kind of support you through this at the shop if you'd like. We are going to be open next week. And Melissa also says 8/8. I'm assuming maybe you're either asking if that's what our shopping bazaar is, or you're mentioning the Lionsgate. So we are going to talk about the Lionsgate portal here in just a little bit as well. Some of you may be familiar with that, and some of you may not be. Robert, was that on the 16th? So all of my scheduling stuff, I will put in the comments when our new moon circle is. I do not have that on the top of my head, but I know that it is coming up in about 2 weeks. Maybe less than 2 weeks now. I can't remember, and my Google Calendar is on my phone, which I'm using to broadcast on Instagram right now. So I will drop in the comments when our new moon circle is coming up. All right. Yeah. All right. So as far as the Lionsgate portal, we are in the portal right now. There's so much going on right now. As you all know, I know you're feeling it. I know that you are riding the waves as gracefully as you can, but we are in the Lionsgate portal energy right now, which is said to peak around the 8th of August. So 8/8, 8 is the sign of infinity, on its upright, right? Infinity would be on its side. And the Lionsgate portal is a time where Sirius, Orion, and the Great Pyramid, all line up. And it is a very, it's like a big window for cosmic energies, spiritual downloads, healing energy, DNA activation, all this stuff, that kind of can come through because of how the Earth is lined up with that kind of star gateway portal as we kind of hurl through space. And, the ancient Egyptians knew about this, they obviously lined their pyramid up to align with this astronomical alignment. And but since, you know, we always think August, Leo, 8/8, you know, so numerology, you know, does play into this as well. And so just working with the energies of like a double 8, you know, is going to be wonderful if you want to kind of work with the Lionsgate energies on the 8th of August. But you can also look at like NASA. You can Google and see when the exact alignment is actually taking place, which may be, you know, a few days before or a few days after the 8th, because of just how everything lines up. But it is, we're in the window now. It's kind of like we've kind of lined up to where everything's getting ready to line up in our sky, and it will continue on past August 8th as well. So the Lionsgate is always like a very potent time. You know, it's a lot of energies that come through that can be really, really transformative in our lives, for sure. Kind of like a positive influence with a lot of these retrogrades going on. And it's like getting towards the end of August, I'll just say there's going to be like a lot of stuff in retrograde. And so I'm not saying that like doom and gloom or just like, oh no, watch out. But it's just like, it's kind of intense, but it's like it's growing pains, right? So that's why I like doing these lives and trying to give you information about what is coming up, not just like what's going on now. And it's great to talk about that, but like what is coming up, what we can prepare for, so that we have our helpful crystals, or we kind of have a mindset or an understanding of like what is coming and how that may affect us, so that we can be prepared. This is preparedness. Energetic preparedness is what we're doing. So let's talk about one thing before we talk about more retrograde stuff. But also on the 5th of the month, which is coming up kind of at the end, I think it's on Saturday, which I have like a little post I did about this on Instagram and Facebook. But the moon will be trining the sun on Saturday, which is actually kind of like it's like a very positive influence. So even if you did some kind of magical workings, abundance, things, because we had a Jupiter influence on the full moon day, even if you did some kind of working like that on the full moon, this is another opportunity to do some kind of manifestation work, because the energy is just really supportive of that, even though we are in a waning moon phase now, and definitely, you know, will be by Saturday. So it's kind of like it's like a plus, it's an extra. And of course, you know, even like with the full moon, you know, you might have wanted to do some intention setting, or kind of had all those, you know, ideas of like what you wanted to do, but you may have just been kind of almost overwhelmed or distracted by what light the full moon was shining on, what you were really wanting to let go of. You know, that to me, that was kind of really a very strong theme with this full moon. And so you might have been like, man, I didn't like do any prosperity stuff, you know, or you know, I really wanted to, you know, kind of, now that I've kind of let go of some things, you know, like I want to fill that cup back up with the stuff that I do want. So on Saturday, there's definitely an opportunity for you to do that as well. If you are kind of feeling overwhelmed emotionally, mentally, just kind of with these changes and these transitions, it may be hard to just be like, oh, I'm so grateful for this, and I'm going to really focus my energy and intention on what I want. It may be hard for you to really align with those energies, you know, right now, because you're just feeling the density, the heaviness, and the gravity of letting go, you know, of what you've let go of, being in that morning grieving, releasing energy. So if you're having a hard time really aligning with that feeling of like your intention and what you're wanting to bring in, because you know, you can't just think it, you have to feel it, you have to embody it, you have to meditate on it and just feel it from the inside out to really help that manifestation happen. And so focusing on gratitude and focusing on what we are thankful for and coming from a place of gratitude and love is a wonderful focal point for you to kind of help you align with those energies of what else do I want to feel that makes me feel grateful? What else do I want to feel that gives me that loving feeling? And that may help you kind of get over the hump of you know, what you've been letting go of and kind of just reeling from that, right? If you're wanting to do some manifesting on Saturday. So let us look at Venus again. As we know, she is retrograde, right? We just talked about that. And on the 7th of August, she is going to be conjuncting Lilith. All right. And so Lilith is, in astrology, she is a very kind of like, this is a very raw energy. It can be very sensual. It can be very like rebellious too, rebellious type energy, kind of like wild feminine energy. And so as Venus is conjuncting Lilith and Venus is in retrograde, I mean, this is a really intense transit. And so Venus retrograde too, let me just mention this, that it's basically where we're on Earth and Venus appears to us to where it seems like it is moving in reverse in the sky, or, you know, instead of in its usual forward motion. That's what a retrograde is. And so kind of the archetype of that, though, is that we do see Venus in like different phases and in different stages. And when Venus is retrograde, she goes kind of into the underworld. It is her crone energy. It is her, you know, feminine wisdom, but it's like in the subconscious, in, you know, underneath the surface, all of that. You know, this is not this like maiden energy, you know, it's really going about like it's deep, it's primal. And Venus actually disappears from our sky, you know, where she's like the evening star, the morning star, right? And like right now, like you can't see her. And so it's like she has gone to the underworld, right? But then there will be a rebirth of Venus back into the sky, and then we will start to be able to see her here before the retrograde is over. So just kind of wanted to mention that as well. But with Venus conjuncting Lilith and Venus being in retrograde, you may kind of feel a little bit rowdy. You may feel a little bit, unhinged almost came to mind. I don't mean to say that, I don't think. But it is quite, it's quite a primal concoction, you know, of energies. And so as we know, sometimes with Venus retrograde, that we can have like past relationships, like people from the past, old flames, things like that show up. And, you know, if that happens to occur, this will be on the 7th, okay, or around that. If that happens to occur and you're feeling this kind of like raw, rowdy, you know, rebellious energy, this Lilith energy, and then Venus being in retrograde, it's probably not a good idea to entertain those old flames, though, just so you know. And the thing is that Venus retrograde gives us a chance for review. It gives us a chance for saying what was in the past, what worked, what didn't work, you know, and it's kind of giving us a check into where we are now. Or where we are now, we might see a repeating pattern. They're like, ooh, you know, I need to kind of adjust that or tweak that because this is not maybe a pattern that's healthy for me. So if we have people from the past show up, it's not like they're, you know, Venus retrograde. It's like, oh, here's your present from the past, and now everything's going to be all Venus-y and lovey or whatever, because really, they maybe just showed back up or you sought them out. You know, maybe they've been on your mind or something because of wanting to review and wanting to kind of check in on what you've learned, so your lessons that you've learned, and kind of where you're going in this next chapter, right? So just going to keep that in mind, keep things in check. And if you're really wanting to get involved in kind of that primal, juicy energy with the combination of Lilith and the combination of Venus retrograde and kind of that crone energy too, it's really a combination of much of the wild archetypal feminine energy for sure. But do something that is creative for yourself. Do something that is, you know, an expression of love for yourself, and maybe using that raw energy to really get into the guts of what you're passionate about, what you want, you know, what you desire. Write it down, make art, dance, you know, do something like that. Don't go have some fling with somebody from the past that you're going to be like, why did I do that, right? I mean, do whatever you want. I'm not telling you to do anything or not to do anything, really. I'm just saying it's kind of not advisable. So just so you know. But anyway, that's that. Okay. Do y'all have any questions about that before we move forward here? Questions? Robert asked something, is it online? I'm not sure exactly we have all of our items, classes, events, all on our calendar on our website. It's innerperfect.com/calendar, and everything is online. You just learn about what we're offering, read about it, RSVP. It's easy peasy. And our classes and our events are live, like in person. I'm not doing like circles over Zoom or, you know, Facebook Live or anything right now, because we can hang out and we can actually get together now. It's awesome. Okay, cool. So I answered Barbara's question. All right. So let us look at the 9th. And we're just kind of hacking right along here. Let's look at the 9th of August here. Venus retrograde will be making a square with Uranus, and when there's a square, usually it's kind of like tension energy. Okay, there's some volatility in this square, Venus retrograde with Uranus, and Uranus is kind of the bringer of unexpected events, like surprises, but might not really be good surprises, or just might be kind of like ground shaking, you know. It's stuff that's like that happens and we're like, whoa, I did not see that coming, you know, or just kind of like a revelation, you know, type energy. And so, because as we know, you know, it's not just affecting us in our own like little personal sphere, these astrological influences are affecting everybody on the planet. This square with Uranus is possible to really kind of shake things up on a global level. You know, this could be politically, this could be something that you see, you know, on the news, you know, something that is just kind of like, holy cow, that just happened. And as we know that those big things, those big global things are in our country, because, the U.S. and the U.S.'s birth chart has a lot of things going on right now that are really kind of, hey, we're having a shift and change. But we know that those things do affect us, right? And, you know, we feel if there's uncertainty in our government or in the world or whatever, that we do have anxiety that comes out of that. We do worry, you know, we're like, what the heck is going on? But to me, maybe it's just because of just how I am, and especially just kind of the place that I'm at in my life now. I'm always like, it's not like being an adrenaline junkie or anything, you know? So it's not like, you know, it's not like, oh, another crisis, another problem, you know, that's not what I'm saying. But it's like when things do happen and there's just like, whoa, some kind of big reveal, you know, or some kind of big momentous falling apart or something that really is just like my usher in some change. It's actually like, I like that. I'm glad that things are shifting and that things are changing. You know, I'm glad that it's just like, however, the energy needs to be kind of broken up because it's stagnant and it's not working, you know, or we're being, you know, deceived or lied to or said, just pay attention to this, just look at this, you know, and there's all this other crap like going on, you know. It's just like, oh, gosh, finally, you know, some truth, you know, or something that, you know, has been hidden, and I had a feeling that this is actually confirmation of that. So just kind of look out on the 9th and just kind of see how that plays out. I'm kind of interested to see what goes on. But this is supporting, you know, like we've talked about so many times during this live, like all of these changes and these shifts that we keep seeing and that are going on, whether we're seeing them on the news or not, they are, it's like the breaking up these old patterns, this old paradigm of energy that like has been outgrown for like a way long time, but we just keep going through the motions. And it is really helping birth us into a new energy and into a better system, you know, or way of doing things. But these are growing pains, you know, and stuff just has to get like cleared, torn up, riled up, stirred up, released, let go of what's not working. You know, we have to do all of that to get on the other side of it, just because it's like literally just making room for the good stuff. So hang in there, you know, if any of this stuff is you know, kind of going on in the world, if it makes your heart sad, you know, if it's scary, they're definitely just growing pains. So Melissa asks if there are certain herbs that can help with grounding, the throat chakra, and other ones that will mentally and physically prepare us for these energies being thrown out our way. Yes, I mean, there are herbs, whether you're thinking about magically speaking or you're thinking about medicinally speaking, which of course they kind of have the same, if it's something that is going to be medicinally beneficial for your body, supportive, then it's going to have the magical and energetic properties attached to that too, right? So however you are wanting to use those herbs, if you're wanting to use that as support, would be helpful. And this is just kind of, I guess, intuitively, what I would say is what I'm feeling that would really help with getting through these transitions and these changes. I am not a doctor, right? And there is no certified recognized herbalists in the United States because of the FDA does not approve this herbal supplement, right? So anyway, but this is my own personal experience, my own personal knowledge about herbs and supplements, which I'm happy to share with you. I think that anything that helps you deal with stress is going to be really helpful. Thinking about maybe cleaning up your diet a little bit, trying to eat those fresh fruits and veggies that are coming in your garden or from the farmer's market is going to be really, really good for you. Also think about things that are high in B vitamins, or maybe doing like a B complex, B12, B6, you know, all of those, because that helps us deal with stress as well. Also herbs that help support your immune system could be things like elderberry, could be like, you know, things that are high in vitamin C, like parsley's high in vitamin C. Really feeling like, you know, like juicing, like just trying to eat like fresh, raw things are going to be really supportive. They're so high vibration. You know, when you eat fruits and vegetables, you eat like, you know, to eat like a smoothie or a salad or something, like the vibration of those foods is so light and it's so fast that it helps support the energies within us that we're trying to, you know, kind of really embody as well. I myself personally am not a vegetarian. I was for a long time in my life, and I totally get and appreciate, you know, people who are vegan, who are vegetarian. And I know that, you know, sometimes my body really, really craves certain things that are in certain meats. You know, there are vitamins and minerals that are like from fish, the essential fatty acids, like unless you're taking like a supplement, like you just can't get that from any fruits or vegetables, which that's just how it is. But we need those things, EFAs. And the omegas, you know, omega 3, 6, 9, those guys. Which are in fish a lot of times. But anyway, but talking about the energy of food is that, like, if you're eating something like meat, the energy is a lot denser. So it's very grounding. It's very, very grounding. You know, dairy products and things like that too. So if you're needing grounding, you know, and you eat meat or something, like, that's going to ground you real quick. But it also is going to kind of slow your vibration a little bit, just like your body is, you know, sending all the blood and all the attention to digesting that heavy, dense food, right? And so your vibration is, you know, kind of slow down a little bit when you eat a lot of meat or when you're eating meat. But that could be a good thing or a bad thing. So, kind of keep that in mind. But like I said, any herbs that help boost your immune system, things that are helpful for the heart, like I'm just feeling like holy basil, like it's Tulsi, or basil in general. Basil is a fantastic heart chakra herb as well. Basil's all coming in our gardens right now, but Tulsi, holy basil is a really, really great herb for your immune system as well. Think about maybe your mushrooms, like your reishi, your chaga, your lion's mane, your cordyceps, like a mushroom tincture. We have those at the shop too. Those would be really helpful. Mushrooms have a lot of vitamin D in them too, which help with your immune system. Of course, we're all getting a lot of sun right now because it's summer, but yeah, those are some things I'm kind of, feeling intuitively that may be really helping you in this stressful time. Jason says my hair looks great. Thank you. Appreciate that. So let us, any more questions about supplements, herbs, crystals, grounding? Okay. Thank you for your engagement too. It is very helpful for me to feel like I'm not just talking to my computer. So it is helpful to actually have you all interacting with me and asking questions. And of course, like I said, you can do that in the comments too, in the replay. Okay. So we talked about the Uranus square, which could be volatile events in our big global sphere. Okay, so we did that. And then now let's talk about let us talk about on the 13th. Okay, so that is a whole, not quite 2 weeks, but this is going quite a ways out for us. The sun will be conjuncting Venus. And this is, when this happens, it's almost kind of like we get a little bit of that pressure off. Like we've been doing, Venus in retrograde, that the camera was acting up. Oh yes, it could be that. I mean, that's like Mercury retrograde, and then I'm like here like making sure my hair looks okay, and it's like, right? Could have been. But with the sun conjuncting Venus, it's actually kind of like we can breathe a little bit of a sigh of relief after like all of this heavy work that we've been doing. We're going to feel just like we have a little bit more clarity. We have a little bit like the energy is not like we're just like swimming upstream and kind of like fighting with ourselves. We are going to feel a little bit of a sense of relief on the 13th. Yes, that's correct. With the sun conjuncting Venus. And you might also feel like you're relaxing into these changes. You're not like giving so much resistance, like feeling that within yourself, or if you've been kind of making changes in like your personal relationships, like whether you're staying together or you're not, whatever it is, you may feel like there's a little bit more clarity about why those changes were necessary. You can kind of relax into that a little bit. And so it's going to feel like less internal, strife and struggle as well. So know that by the, the 13th, right, it's just where we're talking about the sun conjuncting Venus, that we're almost on like the downhill, like almost at the halfway mark too of Venus retrograde. It's a 40-day, well, it's really would be actually past the halfway mark because it's a 40-day transit. And started the 22nd of July. So by the 13th, it's like I'm in the downhill stretch, right? So we kind of see like the changes that we've been making, the changes that we may be continuing to make in this transit. We will see how that it's all kind of coming together then, right? Jason says the irony is strong. I'm not sure the irony of what, personally, if that's like our inside joke or if there's something else that's ironic, but yes. You can clarify in person or later if you want. So Melissa asks if it's now the time to break bad habits, change into better habits. Yes, because like our habits, Like if we have healthy habits that we have a healthy relationship with, like I get up every morning and I, meditate, and I just have to do that, or I'm like, love working out or whatever it is. I mean, there can be healthy habits that are good, right? But there are definitely habits that are not good for us. And it's really like, think about what you do or what you have been doing, that whenever you do it, like after you do it, you just feel awful. You just feel gross, or you just like, you feel guilty. Like, why did I do that? And it's kind of really like, kind of hacking away at your self-esteem, at your sense of like loving yourself, like really giving yourself that grace, that appreciation. So yes, if you have bad habits that you need to let go of, and that could be negative thought patterns, that could be relationships, that could just be activities, things, in your home, in your body, in your schedule that are really not good, they're not healthy, they're low vibration, whatever. Yes, it's a great time to let those things go. We're all, we're not the caterpillar, we're kind of in the chrysalis, but it's like super speed, and we're going to be re-emerging. This is a transformative transit that we're in with Venus retrograde. So yes, anything that helps you feel that you love yourself, that you appreciate yourself, you feel beautiful, you feel healthy, you feel vibrant, do those things. Do those things. That definitely helps you align with, like, you're in your groove, right? That helps you align with the other things that are also going to be in your groove that show up in your reality, for sure. All right, and let's talk about one more thing, and then we're going to kind of just mention Mercury retrograde, although we're going to talk about that next week, okay? But we do have a new moon, and the date of the new moon is on the 16th. I do not recall off the top of my head what day our new moon circle is. I think it's the 13th is the day, because I think the 14th is a Monday, and I think I scheduled it for that Sunday. So I'm pretty sure that's the date, but it's on our calendar, and I'll double check and I'll try to put it in the comments. So anyway, but yes, the actual date of the new moon is on the 16th. And so as we know, we just had the full moon, so we got a couple weeks to kind of work with that waning energy, and then it's like, here we go, fresh start again, right? And so the way that I've been seeing this energy and feeling this energy with just like everything, the energies, everything going on, is that, when you are releasing and you're letting go, you are freeing up space. And half of the people I say this to now probably don't even know what I'm talking about. But it's like the computers, like the old school computers that you would have to defrag your computer. It would start running slow, and stuff is like, oh, have you defragmented your computer? So for those of you who know what I'm talking about, that's what I always think about as far as so the new moon circle is on the 17th. Thank you. Okay. Yeah, I have so many things on our calendar, I cannot honestly keep it straight. Like, I have to double check Google Calendar all the time and check our website. So thank you, Robert. The new moon circle's on the 17th. Okay. But with all these things that are, heavily influencing us that we're going through, we're making room, and it's not like we immediately have to fill that space with something else. Sometimes just being in a pause and being in like, have some breathing room, that's like a great place to be, right? You don't have to fill it right back up. But as we have been releasing and making some room, a new moon is a time of, the exact new moon is like no moon in the sky. It's dark, and it can be that extra kind of push of just like that emptiness and just kind of releasing. And then we're like, okay, what's new? What's next? What is in alignment with my highest good, with what I want to bring into my life? And we set those intentions on the full moon so that we can kind of fresh start, have a fresh start, because the energy starts growing and increasing for the next 2 weeks until we get to the full moon. So it's a really nice kind of energetic flow to be in if you do work with the moon. You know, not all of you may feel really aligned to work with the moon's energies, and that's totally fine. But I do a lot of work with the moon, so that's just kind of a jam. I'm a Cancer moon, so maybe that makes sense. But with the new moon is going to be in Leo with tropical astrology, and then in Cancer in sidereal astrology. And so it will kind of be a catalyst, though, for all of these upcoming retrogrades that I mentioned that are coming down the pipeline. That by the end of the month, we're going to have so many planets in retrograde, including Mercury. And the new moon is going to be that it's not like a last chance to let go, but it's kind of like, okay, decision point. Like, what have you identified? What have you been letting go of? And it's just like, yeah, let's go ahead and just kind of do like, a final sweep. Because why would you want to have that stuff kind of like poisoning the well? Why? And I know that we get so used to things, we get so familiar with things, and it just becomes habit. It becomes just what we do or what we're used to. But we're all growing and changing in leaps and bounds here. We are making really, really big changes in our personal lives, in our relationships, and then of course it's just exponentially going out into our community, out into our country, out across the world. And so it's like there's no time like the present just to go ahead and like seize those opportunities to let go and move forward. And it is so much easier to keep it than letting go in the decision point, right? But then you think of like the slow death, of like, just imagine all these things that you're holding on to is like luggage that has like broken handles at this point, and maybe like holes in the bottom that you've patched or whatever. And you just got all this heavy crap that you are just carting around, and like, you may have some good muscles, from like carting all that stuff around, but your back also hurts, metaphorically speaking. And you're freaking exhausted. You're tired. And it's just like, but it becomes just like, we're so used to carrying that stuff. It's just like, oh yeah, this is my stuff, and we do get attached, we get attached. But if you just maybe just set it down and like, just to hold on to it for a second and just see how that feels. See if all of a sudden you're like, oh, I can breathe. Holy crap. See how like your energy feels when you just kind of step away from it for a minute. And if that is a sense of peace, if that is a sense of relief, if that is a sense of being unburdened, it's probably stuff that wasn't good for you. Just saying. And I know it's not easy sometimes, or a lot of times. But when we look at this new moon, all right, so you can kind of, think about this as you're hacking, slashing, getting rid of all this stuff, it is going to really be centered on our heart. What makes our heart soar? What is like SOAR, okay? Like really what makes our heart feel good, what we really love, and what really, really feeds us. Leo can be a extroverted, kind of egoic energy sometimes, but there's so much like loyalty and like a regal energy and just strong, vibrant heart chakra energy with Leo. And with that, kind of coming in with the Western astrology calculations, and then here we have some more Cancer energy, with the sidereal astrology. Then that's all like your squishy feelings, feeling all the feelings, right? And also kind of wanting to guard yourself, protect yourself with how you feel, what you hold sacred, what is special to you. So it's a really beautiful alchemy that is coming in with this new moon, with Leo, with Cancer, with that fire and with that water energy too. It's like a bonfire at the beach where you're like burning like old crap that you don't need anymore, right? Like transmutation and just letting the waves soothe your soul. So kind of work with those energies with this new moon. You may feel like we're not getting a break. It's just like retrograde after this transit, after this energy, and all these things just may feel like you're just getting, it's just coming at you at every angle. But I feel that by the time the new moon gets here, it's going to be a little easier just to go, I'm making peace with this. I'm going to lay this down for now and just really focus on me and focus on what really aligns with my heart. I mean, that will never ever steer you wrong. This is not like, what is my brain fantasizing about and where are my fears? Those are like totally different areas of your body. Those are totally different chakras. This is your heart. This is where your higher self and your spiritual self and your animal self and all of those, survival instincts and like connection, it's where they all merge, is at your heart. And so that's going to be really felt and supporting you when we have the new moon, okay? And we'll talk more about new moon stuff next week as well. But just kind of wanted to give you a little heads up of something that maybe you can kind of plan on to look forward to. The thing about Mercury retrograde, and we will talk about this more in depth next week, but Mercury going retrograde, I think it's on the 25th of August, but I'll have those exact dates for you next week. But Mercury retrograde, as we know, affects communication, affects travel, affects all things that are computer, cars, letters, talking, affects all of those things. And Mercury is just now going into a shadow period right now, as far as the retrograde shadow period. And that's like 2 weeks before it actually happens, usually. So it's slowly kind of like going like, okay, here I come, get ready. So we definitely would like to spend a bit of time now, making sure that, we're doing those maintenance things on our vehicles and our electronics, our appliances, making sure we paid our cell phone bill, making sure that, if you have communication, like, emails that you haven't gotten to, or you got letters that you hadn't opened, mail and stuff like that, you go ahead and just like kind of just take care of that stuff, so you don't have this really overwhelming backlog of things that then start just going really wonky when Mercury goes retrograde. So, the next 2 weeks is a good time to kind of, get your affairs in order a little bit, so that this Mercury retrograde is a little bit less calamity, and less things falling apart, because you're like, yeah, I did the maintenance, I did the upkeep, got those things taken care of as much as I could before this went retrograde. So you can use the Mercury retrograde energy to help you still do this work of tying up loose ends, of kind of clearing the air and clearing up communication, thoughts, feelings, things having to do with relationships, things having to do with people, again, coming from your past and like showing up with maybe clarity about something, or you being able to have like some clarity about maybe something that happened in the past that, we're revisiting that a little bit and we're like, okay, so now I've got some closure, now I've got some better understanding. Because with Venus being retrograde and Mercury being retrograde together, it's definitely, these are both can be very, very beneficial and very helpful energies to help us, like I said, tie up those loose ends, understand those patterns, those themes, that we just might be on autopilot doing that are just really no longer serving us, or things that we used to do that we are kind of like, oh, wow, I can't believe I used to do that, or wow, that was a lesson that I learned, but this is where I am now, and to be in a state of gratitude of where you are now too, right? It's not just like having to learn these hard lessons, let go, let go, let go. Sometimes it's just like confirmation. It's like you get that revisit, you get that person or that energy or that, that thing kind of shows up just to remind you of how much progress you've made, and how much you've grown and changed from where you were back then, right? And it might be like, wow, I've done all this work, but there's still this thing that I'm holding on to. So maybe it's time to let it go, So anyway, that is our energy update for today. I hope that this was insightful and helpful to kind of let you know what's been going on, what is going on, and what is kind of coming down the pipeline. Sorry about the technical difficulties on Facebook, but now I'm gonna have some fun maybe trying to like edit stuff. I don't even know. We'll see. But any final like questions or commentary that you all want to make before I close down the live broadcast? We will have, this will be on replay as well. So if you missed like part of it, you know, I know some of you just kind of like hopped on the middle or the end or whatever. If you've missed any of this, and you can always go back and watch some of it if you want. I think I'm going to try my hand at actually kind of editing the video a bit. And putting it on YouTube as well. And when I get that done, I will post a link to that too. It might not be tonight, it might be tomorrow, I'm not sure, but I will definitely share that link once it's on YouTube. I am trying to post more things on YouTube now. So if you guys want to follow, it's Inner Perfect as my YouTube channel. Like I have some guided meditations and like different classes that I taught and some things, and I'm going to be posting these energy updates and things more regularly too. So if you want to follow me on YouTube, you can do that, especially if you're like, oh, I don't like social media or whatever, you just like subscribing to YouTube channels, so you can do that. I have like maybe 45 subscribers right now. It's not like a huge YouTube channel, so make it a little bigger. That would be fine too. So thanks so much, you all. You are welcome, Robert. I'm really glad to do this, and I will see you next week on Wednesday for the next live. Also, a reminder: the shop is open next week, Tuesday through Saturday, and I've got some classes and things that I'm teaching also in August. I mean, all that's on our calendar, so just check that out. innerperfect.com/calendar and check out all the really awesome stuff going on, not just that I'm doing, but a lot of the other providers are offering as well in our community space, because we've got a lot of stuff that can be really helpful. You know, that's what the community space is about. That's what these classes are about. That's what our circles are about, is just kind of, you know, our own individual experience, but also like the support of community. So if you feel drawn to come to anything, attend anything, we would love to have you. All right. Well, you all have a good night, and I will see you very soon in one way or the other. So have a great night. Bye-bye.